Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis, me once again. Welcome back to the movie review, aka After I Saw. This time it is going to be on The Housemaid. This movie is directed by Paul Feig and based off a best-selling novel that I never heard about. Because you know me, I am a movie guy. And a video game guy sometimes too. Then again, a lot of the times, but that's beside the point. This movie involves a woman named Millie, played by Sydney Sweeney, who gets a job as, of course, a housemaid, as she is trying to just escape her past, trying to live a new life, living her dream job as a housemaid for a very wealthy couple named Nina and Andrew Winchester. And what turns into a pleasant time being welcomed there turns into a whole nother level much later on, as throughout the film, it's a movie involving twists and scandals and secrets, and of course, nothing about this movie is normal anymore. But then again, once it opens up, it pretty much gives you exactly what you would expect, because this is a film remotely involving, the fact that you don't know entirely who to trust, or sometimes it can be hard to know exactly what you're in for, whether you hire the right person or that person that you hired knows exactly what is going on, because this is a psychological thriller. And there was a time when director Paul Feig wasn't really known for that. He was mostly known for comedy films such as The Heat and Bridesmaids and Ghostbusters 2016 and Spy, which was a comedy film involving Melissa McCarthy, which was a lot of fun. I've enjoyed a lot of his films in the past, but this is actually not the first time he managed to make a psychological thriller, as in 2018 he managed to bring us a film called A Simple Favor. This movie is like a combination of both comedy and thriller. If you know exactly what you're in for, this is a very entertaining ride, and I do think it's one of his more overlooked films since he is mostly known for comedy, but because that movie was so good, I was really intrigued by the trailer. It really did a good job of giving you exactly what you were in for, and I was just hoping that the movie itself would actually end up being as good as I was hoping that, the trailer made it out to be. Because this was one that I really wanted to like, because I enjoy a lot of thrillers, especially ones, that came out back in the day. And this one will definitely remind you of some of those ones with some elements of camp mixed in. Don't expect this movie to be 100% serious, because there are often times that the movie manages to have some entertainment values in terms of, over-the-top acting and all that. So, but whatever the case, I just wanted to like the movie. And I did. I really liked this one. It's not quite Paul Feig's best film, but I definitely enjoyed what he was going for in terms of his direction. Expect a lot of twists and turns, because it's definitely a movie that is going to have you thinking throughout its 2-hour runtime. And it does definitely feel like it goes on a little too long, especially towards the last act, which I'm not really going to get too deep into spoilers, but I am going to bring up some things to keep in mind. Keep in mind that there is going to be a lot of, disturbing sequences of, character behavior and all that in terms of how characters act and how, things are going to get into your mind. And it's definitely going to have you thinking a lot throughout the film. And that's something that I expected from this film. And it did a really good job of having, all these elements that have you thinking, because it's definitely a thinking movie. But hey, there is a lot of fun to be had into this movie as well. And I feel like that's what brings more of a positive vibe to this film, is the fact that it doesn't feel very slow, because the movie surprisingly is pretty well paced during the first act. And it definitely has more going for it much later on. Things go in directions that I wasn't expecting, and it's all thanks to the performances. Probably the most over-the-top performance is given by Amanda Seyfried, but she was great in this movie. Everybody, even Sydney Sweeney. And I actually like the characters they were playing, even though sometimes they feel like they're unlikable. That's really the point. You don't know exactly who you're rooting for at first, because, it just feels like it's going for, different ways where I'm supposed to not like this character, but end up liking this character, and just ended up, it was often kind of hard, but, I didn't mind that, because regardless, I liked everybody in this movie, and I even remember their names. And the movie did such a good job of having me hooked onto what was going on in terms of the screenplay that I had to go to the bathroom 30 minutes in, but I held it till the very end. I know that's not exactly healthy, but I hate having to use the bathroom during the movies. And I'm surprised that It didn't happen to me until the last act in Avatar Fire and Ash. But that's exactly what this movie will do. It'll have you hooked, it'll have you invested. And I will say during the last hour of the movie, when it does actually start, bringing in more information, it does often start to drag a bit. Not the last act though. The last act was very entertaining, and I feel like definitely made this movie absolutely worth it. It's just when it comes to actually explaining what was happening throughout this film, it's not that I didn't like, where it was going. It's just sometimes I feel like it just goes on a little too long. Because again, it's over 2 hours long. So I do feel like during that session of the movie, that portion of the movie, they definitely could have shaved off a little bit of time from that. But nonetheless, it didn't take away from, just having me think, okay, that actually makes sense. Because a lot of the times, I was invested with, the direction it was going for, that oftentimes the scenes that do drag, I didn't mind it. Because again, it really knows how to just have you hooked onto the screen, and there's no doubt in my mind that if you are a fan of the novel, this film will probably have you hooked on as well. Though, of course, when it comes to book to film adaptation, some people will bring out that wasn't in the book, or that wasn't part of the book whatsoever. But, if you just watch this movie as a film, there's definitely a lot to unravel. And I enjoy when movies like this manage to, have you think. And again, it doesn't always take itself too seriously. It does often get over the top with some of the acting, but I feel like it's acting that we can laugh with rather than at, because it's not like laughably bad acting, because again, the performances, everybody is really good. But in the end, guys, I really enjoyed The Housemaid. It gave me exactly what I wanted to see. A film involving a lot of twists, a lot of pieces that you just see yourself wanting to put together. And when it does actually show up towards the end in terms of what actually is going on, I feel like it definitely manages to pay off. In my point of view, it seems. There are definitely some people that will think, it was too complicated to get into, or sometimes the camp might ruin it. But that's the thing, because when it comes to movies nowadays that either try to be too serious or not serious enough, this movie manages to combine elements of both. There are times where it does get serious, but at the same time, it manages to be fun in terms of, its campiness, as well as, its style and all that, because it's a very nice looking film. And I can definitely say by the end of it, I wasn't disappointed. This was one that I was really looking forward to, and I'm glad that it managed to win me over in the end, and giving me exactly what I wanted to see. Despite the fact that people trashed on Paul Feig for his 2016 Ghostbusters movie, I wanted to be one of those people, but I'm sorry, I still wasn't. He can still make tons of good movies after that, because with this and A Simple Favor, he's still a talented filmmaker nonetheless, and I definitely do think that this one is worth checking out. Of course, it's going to get overshadowed by Avatar and SpongeBob. In my opinion, I thought this was the best out of the three, and I still hope people can go out and see it this weekend, even if, there are other two big movies coming out. But this one, I definitely feel like at least deserves a chance. So, yeah, but anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Blue Sky. Links are in the description, and I'll see you guys later. Word out. Thank you.